Hi, everybody. Josh Byerly here inside Mission Control Houston. I'm sitting next to astronaut Ron Garan. We're going to be talking about I think one of the cooler aspects of spaceflight is something that's very interesting. You know, over the past 50 years, while astronauts have been flying, I think one of the more remarkable things is that pictures of our own planet have been so powerful. And I'm not sure that was expected, but you think back to some of the more iconic imagery of Apollo, the Earthrise and the blue marble that Apollo 17 took, and it's been our own planet, which has really sort of taken people's breath away, hasn't it?
And I think that was a big surprise. I think, we went to the moon to discover the moon, and I
Yeah.
think we discovered ourselves in the process. And I think it's a really really important part of space exploration is to be able to not only capture what we're doing in space, but also to capture what's happening on the ground, what's happening here on Earth, and it really gives us a unique perspective to do that.
Yeah, we're going to start taking a look at some of the pictures that Ron and his crew captured back during expeditions 27 and 28, correct?
27,
I
28,
want to
that's
make sure I
right.
have my numbers right. So let's take a look at them real quick on the screen, and we'll talk about some of these. So that is...
This is the North Island of New Zealand, and actually, the significance of this to me is that this was the first picture that I tweeted from space,
Oh, wow.
and that is a really, a very, very powerful tool that we have to interact with people on the ground. And this particular picture, I think, got like about 120,000 views in the first 24 hours. It was retweeted by the White House, and
Yeah.
it generated a lot of buzz. And it's a way for us to really bring people along on our mission, not just as spectators, but as fellow crewmates, because we can interact with people on the ground, and it really opens up a whole new way of interaction for us.
Yeah, let's take a look at the next one. This is, I
Okay.
think, this is Botswana?
This is Botswana. That's right. That's the Okavango Delta, and this is one of the most recognizable features on the ground when you look back at the Earth. There's a number of places around the world that when you look at it, you know instantly where you are. And this is Botswana, and it's a beautiful, beautiful scene. It's in the middle. If we panned back, you'd see nothing but desert for hundreds and hundreds of miles. And so this is a gigantic oasis. That skinny part on the left is about 6 miles wide.
Wow.
The whole thing is about 100 miles long, and it contains incredible biodiversity. This is a perfect example that water is life, and this water right here in the middle of the otherwise desert is home to an enormous amount of species of animals, and it really is striking from space. And to me, from space, it looks like this giant paintbrush on the ground. So it's
Yeah,
pretty.
such a contrast between everything that was around it. It looks like nothing, and then
Exactly.
there's this life, everything in the middle. Let's talk about something that you guys call Earth glow, right? And then
Yeah,
this next
yeah.
picture, I think, is Australia that we've got on here. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So that's a picture. I believe Mike Fossum took this picture of me in the cupola there. On the right, you can see the cupola. And a lot of people, when they see these pictures, a lot of the time lapse has this air glow effect in it, and people mistake that for the atmosphere, the limits of the atmosphere. And the atmosphere is significantly thinner than that. So if you
Yeah.
look at that air glow and you look to the left, the dark part between the green and the Earth is the atmosphere.
Wow.
So that's how paper thin it is, and it really is sobering to think that paper thin layer is all that protects every living thing on Earth. And this is over coastal Australia. I believe that city down there is Sydney. I'm not
Yeah.
exactly positive about that, but this is a good shot that shows how we get these how we get these pictures. I mean, this is basically the spot of choice on the space station to take pictures because it has such a great view, and you could see out on the horizon, and we're not taking shots just straight down,
Yeah.
at
Kind of
the
getting it from the
Earth.
side.
Yeah, and it's important, I think, for a number of reasons, and one is that it helps us to capture some of the emotion that you have when you're up there. Now, we take all these pictures in our free time. We're not scheduled normally to take pictures
Yeah.
of the Earth, and so it's something that we like to do. There's scientific reasons for taking these pictures. We like to document the effects of human impact on the environment, of natural disasters, and but also we want to capture the human experience of being in space, and
Yeah.
sometimes a place like the cupola allows us to do that.
I think that's why it gets the attention that it does.
Yeah.
So let's take a look. You did a spacewalk, or a few actually. This is you.
Again, Mike Fossum took this picture, and this is not intended to be an Earth Ops picture, but it actually is. So you can see Qatar, and I'm actually standing right over Saudi Arabia, and you can see Bahrain and Iran off to the right. Beautiful shot of that part of the world, and you know, it really, gives you the impression that we're standing on top of the world, and it's
Do you get a sense of how high up you are when you do this? I mean, or do you look down and go, I hope I don't fall? I mean, I know obviously you can't, but
we are falling.
well, that's true. That's, that's
But we're also traveling 5 miles a second, so we're okay. So, but no, I think for me, you understand how high above the world
yeah.
you are, and it just gives you this tremendous view, and you're not worried about falling down to the earth because, like I said, we are falling down to the earth. You are concerned, and your concentration is on floating away from the station,
Yeah.
and making sure that that doesn't happen. So that's the big concern.
Let's take a look at this next picture. This is, I think, 135 that we've got on here. Now,
It
the question
is.
I've got about this is that, you guys took these photos both because they're spectacular, but there was also an engineering reason that you took pictures of the shuttle's
Right.
heat shield. But, people don't realize that, you guys don't use just point-and-shoot cameras on board the space. These are actually high-end professional level cameras that you have to get trained on, and you have to become almost a professional level photographer.
Yeah, I mean, we do get a lot of training, and this is a shot right before we did the RPM. So
Yeah.
this rotation maneuver that allows us to take very detailed technical pictures of the heat shield underneath the shuttle. And this is Atlantis on its last mission, the last mission of the space shuttle program, and we were getting set up for the RPM, and we flew right over the Bahamas, and that's Long Island to the right, and Exuma Island to the left. You can see progress in the view, and I purposely framed that so you can get a sensation that we're taking that from the space station. And I just looked down as we are getting set up. We're getting ready. It's a very choreographed type of event,
Yeah.
trying to get these pictures. And as we are getting set up, I saw that view and just said, "Oh, hold on
There
a
it
second.
is.
We
Yeah.
got to take that picture right there." So
Yeah.
that was really that's one of my favorite shuttle pictures.
Now, you've been very active on Twitter. You tweet out quite a bit of pictures while you were up there. Let's take a look at some of these. I think these are some fires over South Africa, if I'm not mistaken.
Actually, the whole, not just South Africa, the whole southern continent
Oh,
of
wow.
Africa. And this is, these are, I don't believe these are wildfires. These are, I think, just periodic
Yeah.
seasonal crop burning. But what really struck me of this picture was that the smoke engulfed the entire atmosphere, all the way up to the limits of space. And this is not only in Africa. I mean,
Yeah.
all around the world you see this at different seasons. You'll see the crops starting to be burned, and it really has a tremendous effect. It basically, like I said, fills up the entire atmosphere.
Yeah.
And in this case, a whole part of a very large continent was completely engulfed in smoke, as far as you could see.
And you only get that perspective whenever you get actually off the planet and take a look down below and see exactly how these things that are, affecting a continent at that point,
Right.
So, all right, hurricanes are always popular. I think we've got a shot of Hurricane Irene, if I'm not, there it is.
Yeah, this is Hurricane Irene. We took this picture. You can see Cuba there in the foreground, and hurricanes are scary even from space. And this is right before it made landfall. I think it was about 120-mile-an-hour winds. It was a Cat 3 hurricane at the
Wow.
time. It went up the whole east coast of the U.S., and I've got a whole series of these pictures as it was coming, making landfall. I made several landfalls, actually. And what's interesting about this is you could see the calm before the storm. I mean,
Yeah.
I have a picture of New York right before it got there. And you could see it's a crystal clear day in New York City.
Yeah.
And then right offshore, you could see Irene barreling
coming,
down. And,
yeah.
and it really is. In that particular picture, you don't really get a good sense of the eye of the hurricane. But a lot of times we do capture the eye, and it really looks pretty scary from space. We had 3 hurricanes while we were up there.
Wow.
And one of the things that we really tried to do was capture time-lapse photography of the hurricane, so you could see some of the movement of it. And I think that was really a good tool to show, help with the projections, and also, to have people on the ground take this serious. Hey,
Yeah.
if you're getting an evacuation order, you might want to take this serious. This is a pretty big one.
Well, and one thing about the hurricane pictures, we've got satellites to take pictures of these. I think there's something that captures people's attention whenever a human takes the picture. It's a little bit different because it's like they're experiencing it with you, from your vantage point.
Right, exactly. And it's interesting, you feel, at the same time you feel detached when you're living for months and months in space, but at the same time you feel more connected because we could, watch on the news, we do get the news up there, watch about a wildfire or a hurricane or some type of conflict around the world and go, oh, we're going to fly over that in 5 minutes. Let's go take a look. And so you feel more connected because you can see it with your own eyes, even though you're in this disconnected world of the International Space Station.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at our home state. We've got one from Texas. I think these are
Okay.
some fires burning
Yeah,
here.
we've got a lot of wildfires burning now, right as we speak, around the world and certainly in our own country. And this was during a period of where in Texas we had a lot of wildfires and did a tremendous amount of damage. And again, natural disasters from space, since you get to see such a wide, area and see the effect of those areas, the wide part of the view there, it really is very impressive and very concerning.
Which part of Texas is this that we're looking at?
So this is East Texas actually. It's not far from Shreveport, I believe. So I'm actually not even convinced that's one of the wildfire pictures, but
It should be a random fire.
I think it is a random fire, but it's at on the same day that there was some significant fires, I think, in the Bastrop area of Texas.
Well, I'm from East Texas. We tend to build big fires in East Texas,
Yeah.
part of the world. All right, last picture. Let's take a look at Libya real quick.
Yeah.
This is striking to me just because of the color.
It is striking for the color and the beauty, but what you don't realize out of this picture is this is the day that Tripoli fell.
Wow.
And so this is an example of one of those times where you're watching the news.
Yeah.
Usually we'd watch the news during lunch as we're eating our lunch and realize that Tripoli just fell, and hey, we're going to fly over that in a few minutes. Let's take some pictures. And you can see, it looks very beautiful and peaceful and tranquil.
Yeah.
And you don't realize what's raging below in that picture. It's really quite a contradiction, a sobering contradiction.
The question I've got is the colors that you see here. I mean, do these cameras actually capture what you're seeing with your own eye?
I think they do. I think they do. There's parts of the world that are just very, very unique in the colors that you see. The Bahamas, jump out,
Yeah.
almost like this neon glowing jewel out in the middle of the ocean. The Himalayas are the same way,
Yeah.
and so it really, really is striking the difference in colors and watching the colors change too. They change as you're watching them, but there's also seasonal changes as well. And we could watch that line of the colors of the leaves changing. Go from south to north or north to south, depending on which hemisphere you're in, and just watch that happen over the weeks and months is really, really interesting to see. It almost gives you the sense that we have this living, breathing organism that we live on.
We tend to stay very green or brown here in Houston.
That's right.
We don't really get the fall leaves, anything down here. So, well, tell everybody what your Twitter account is so they can follow you.
Oh, it's at Astro_Ron.
At Astro_Ron. So follow along with Ron. He's always tweeting out some interesting photos and observations on
thanks
everything
for the
going on. Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Ron Garan, astronaut here. Of course, if you'd like to take a look at all these photos that you saw, follow Ron on Twitter, or you can log on to the NASA website at www.nasa.gov/station. There's literally hundreds of thousands of photos out there, so you can even find your hometown on there if you look very carefully. So thanks again, Ron. We'll
Thanks,
see you later.
Josh. Appreciate it.